GVTV News. Welcome.
Thanks, Sheriff Royal. I'm Randy Hansen. In today's world news headlines, France deploys 10,000 troops to guard sites after attacks. And White House admits top officials should have joined Paris March. A day late. And record 25,000 join anti-Islam rally in Germany. 100,000 join counter-protest. And out of Nigeria, government claims 150, not 2,000 killed in Boko Haram. And U.S. drops bid to force journalist James Risen to testify. And U.S. Central Command's social media hacked by apparent ISIS sympathizers. And out of New Mexico, 2 police face murder charges for shooting of homeless man. And a report says NYPD uses banned chokeholds, goes unpunished. And Senate advances bill to approve Keystone XL pipeline. And Romney takes steps towards 2016 presidential bid, and Ryan drops out. And Treasury nominee withdraws after Warren-led opposition over Wall Street ties. And judge strikes down South Dakota same-sex marriage ban. GVTV News is broadcast on Grass Valley Television, division of Rural Counties Television Network, whose focus is on community involvement. We also air on NCTV. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, France is deploying an unprecedented 10,000 soldiers inside its own country in the wake of last week's deadly shootings at a kosher grocery store and the magazine Charlie Hebdo. The soldiers will join nearly 5,000 police officers mobilized to guard Jewish schools, train stations, and other sites. France has also taken steps to increase electronic spying. Authorities say several members of a terrorist cell suspected in the attack may still be at large. Video footage appears to show Hayat Boumediene, partner of supermarket shooter Amde Coulibaly, arriving in Turkey days before the attack. Turkish authorities say she went to part of the Syria controlled by the Islamic State. As the victim of the killings are laid to rest, the magazine Charlie Hebdo is preparing to publish its first post-attack issue on Wednesday. The cover features the Prophet Muhammad holding a sign that reads, Jesus Charlie, or I am Charlie. And the headlines, all is forgiven. Secretary of State John Kerry has announced he will fly to Paris later this week to show support for France. The Obama administration has come under fire after Obama declined to join the 40 world leaders and 1.7 million people in a free speech rally in Paris Sunday. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest acknowledged the administration should have sent a top official and said some have asked whether or not the United States should have sent someone with a higher profile than an ambassador to France. And I think it's fair to say that we should have sent someone with a higher profile to be there. That said, there is no doubt that the American people and this administration stand foursquare behind our allies in France as they face down this threat. It's unclear why Attorney General Eric Holder, the thief, who was in Paris for meetings, did not attend the rally. In Germany, a record 25,000 people joined an anti-Islam rally in the city of Dresden. Far-right group Pegida has held weekly rallies against Islam, but Monday was the largest to date. Some marchers carried signs that read, Jesus Charlie, in purportedly solidarity with the Charlie Hebdo victims. An anti-Islam movement appears to be spreading after last week's attacks, and hundreds rally in Oslo, Norway. Monday, more actions planned in Austria and Switzerland. But across Germany, an estimated 100,000 people joined to counter-protest. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said, I would like to add that our former president, Christian Wolff, said that Islam belongs to Germany. This is true. I share this view. That's why we're doing everything we can to make integration a success. Merkel attended Sunday's rally in Paris. Is expected to attend a rally in Berlin organized by Muslim groups to denounce both terrorism and intolerance. Nigeria said the death toll from an attack by Boko Haram in the northeast stands at 150, including a number of militants. Despite reports the toll may be far higher, government has previously been accused of downplaying such tolls. Local officials say as many as 2,000 people have been killed in Boko Haram attacked Baga and surrounding areas in what may be the deadliest attack to date. Islamic militant group is also suspected of Paris suicide attacks over the weekend where explosives were strapped to young girls. Cameroon, meanwhile, says it killed 143 Boko Haram militants who attacked a base near the Nigerian border. Obama administration is not forced New York Times investigative reporter James Risen to testify in the trial of his alleged source. Jeffrey Sterling, whose trial is set to open, is accused of giving Risen secret information that revealed a botched CIA plot to disrupt Iran's nuclear program. Risen had risked jail time as part of a 7-year legal battle with the administration in case that came to symbolize its crackdown on whistleblowers. The Obama administration has pursued more leaks cases than all its predecessors combined. Hackers claiming allegiance to the Islamic State, Muslim Islamic terrorists, have penetrated the social media accounts of the U.S. Military Central Command, which oversees U.S. strikes in Iraq and Syria. Central Command shut down its YouTube and Twitter accounts after a series of posts sympathetic to ISIS. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest downplayed comparisons between Monday's hack and earlier data breach against Sony Pictures, which the administration blames on North Korea. Josh Earnest said, "I can tell you that this is something that we've obviously been looking into and something that we take seriously. However, just a note of caution to folks that are covering this story, there are pretty significant differences between what is a large data breach and the hacking of a Twitter account." In New Mexico, prosecutors have filed murder charges against the 2 police officers for the killing of the mentally ill homeless man while igniting protests against the Albuquerque Police Department. The officers, Keith Sandy and Dominguez Perez, will now face public and preliminary hearings before a judge for the killing of James Boyd last March. Boyd had been confronted by police for sleeping in an unauthorized campsite. Police say he was armed with knives, but video from the police helmet camera shows Boyd apparently agreeing to surrender, turning away to pick up his belongings before officers fire a flashbang grenade, release a dog on him, and open fire. At a news conference, Bernalillo County District Attorney Kerry Brandenburg said the proceedings against officers would be more transparent than the secret grand juries in other states, which declined to indict the officers who killed Michael Brown and Eric Garner. She said, "Unlike Ferguson and unlike New York City, some recent high-profile cases, we're going to know the public is going to have the information. You are all going to have seen the witnesses, heard the arguments, and you'll understand, hopefully, perhaps, why the judge made the decision that he or she made." Albuquerque police have been involved in more than 40 shootings since 2010, 27 of them fatal. Last year, the scathing Justice Department probe found most of the department's fatal shootings were unconstitutional. It is the first time Albuquerque police involved in a shooting have faced murder charges. In New York City, a new report has found police are continuing to use chokeholds like the one used against Eric Garner, even though they have been banned for more than 20 years. Report by the NYPD Inspector General took 10 cases of banned chokeholds over the past 5 years, while a review board had recommended the highest level of punishment in the 9 of the cases. The most officers ever faced was a loss of vacation days. Lawmakers in U.S. Senate have advanced legislation to approve the Keystone XL oil pipeline, despite a vow by President Obama to veto it. Final vote is expected on Friday. Wisconsin Republican Representative Paul Ryan has announced he will not run for president in 2016. The former vice presidential candidate, known for promoting deep cuts in public spending, says he wants to pay undivided attention to his new post as chair of the House Ways and Means Committee. Ryan's former running mate, 2012 Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney, has signaled he may run again and has reportedly begun contacting backers in key states. A Wall Street banker tapped by President Obama for the top post at the Treasury Department has removed himself from the running following opposition by progressive liberals led by Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. Warren has criticized the nomination of Antonio Weiss, who has spent 20 years in financial firm Lazard, which he works on so-called tax inversions, whereby companies like Burger King have moved overseas to dodge U.S. taxes. More than 160,000 people have signed a petition calling for the Senate to reject Weiss's nomination to the third highest post in the Treasury. After withdrawing from the consideration for that post, he has taken a job as counselor to Treasury Secretary Jack Lew. Federal judge has struck down South Dakota's ban on same-sex marriage. Judge Karen Schreier found the ban deprives same-sex citizens of a fundamental right, but places her ruling on hold pending an appeal. Same-sex marriage is currently legal in 36 states and Washington, D.C. And that's it for the World News today. Now, another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. That's right, it's time for the police blotter. Pictures in a blotter are not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. These public records are obtained from daily logs issued from Nevada County Law Enforcement. Grass Valley Police Department on Sunday, 11:58 a.m., a man from Sutton Way reported he saw a cat in the window of a closed business, and he was not sure if it snuck in through an open door or was supposed to be there. 12:28 p.m., a caller from South Church and Chapel Street reported several people were breaking large branches off trees to make a shelter. They could not be located. 1:27 p.m., a caller from Sutton Way reported a person threw a bottle of wine into a business. Extra patrols were requested. At 12:24 p.m., a caller from 400 block of South Auburn Street reported vandalism to a vehicle. 5:33 p.m., a caller from 1900 block of Nevada City Highway reported seeing a man smash the driver's side window of a truck. He had locked his keys inside. At 6:05 p.m., a man from Lister Avenue reported someone threw eggs on his truck. A motorhome also was hit. And Monday, 1:34 a.m., a caller from Sutton Way reported a man lying on the sidewalk. He was arrested on suspicion of violating his post-release community supervision. Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Sunday, 8:41 a.m., a man reported a problem with acoustic telepathy and equipment implanted in his brain. He was referred to mental health services. 1:39 p.m., a caller from 22,000 block of Swenson Ravine reported trespassing. And 4:10 p.m., a caller from Banner Lava Cap and Pittsburgh Mine Road reported a man walking down the road carrying a rifle. He was located and admonished. 4:19 p.m., a caller from 13,000 block of Highway 49 reported a man looking for food who had then threatened to hit the caller. 5 p.m., a caller from Lode Line Way and Golden Star Road reported a man lying in the carport. He was given a ride to the county line per his request. 4:43 p.m., a caller from Adam Avenue reported domestic dispute with pushing and shoving. And 7:26 p.m., a caller from 13,000 block of Woolman Lane reported a man frequently sleeps in a barn and had been asked to leave the area before. 10:46 p.m., a caller from Highway 174 and God Hill Drive reported an unoccupied overturned vehicle blocking the roadway. 11:43 p.m., a caller from Pleasant Valley School reported vehicles doing donuts in the parking lot. A person was cited. Nevada City Police Department on Friday. 8:49 a.m., a man from Business 200 block of Commercial Street reported finding a dead rat on the doorstep, possibly in an attempt to scare or threaten him. Saturday, 12:22 a.m., a caller from a Business 300 block of Broad Street reported a man with a skateboard keeps trying to get into a bar and caller keeps throwing him out. He could not be located. 9:05 a.m., a caller from 400 block of Nursery Street reported an unlocked residence was entered and a guitar and Vicodin were taken. 10:11 a.m., a woman from 300 block of West Broad Street reported a vehicle was ransacked last night. And Sunday, 2:49 a.m., a caller from 500 block of Coyote Street reported a loud party with an uncontained bonfire. The fire was extinguished. 6:21 a.m., a man from 500 block of Nevada Street reported the theft of a guitar. At 1:25 p.m., a caller from 500 block of West Broad Street reported a man was very drunk and trying to get into a residence. 2:49 p.m., the caller reported he was very drunk and pounding on the door. 4:56 p.m., a caller from 700 block of Zion Street reported a man trying to open a business in the back of a business, or open a door in the back of the business. And that's it for the blotter today. Now, thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us. And if you want the same, give us a call. In today's local news headlines, report of trapped brother leads to arrest of Penn Valley man. And double murder suspect arrested Saturday in Truckee. And solo crash sends man to a hospital. And a mobile home fire quickly contained. And crash blocks Highway 20 for a time. In our first story, a Penn Valley man ended up in jail after he called 911 to report his brother was trapped in a culvert, but no one actually was there. John Zachary Francis, 24, reportedly called 911 a little before 7 p.m. to report his brother was stuck in a culvert and needed to be extricated, said Grass Valley Police Lieutenant Steve Johnson. Fire and rescue personnel were dispatched to Idaho-Maryland Road and Sentinel Drive, where there was a small bridge over Wolf Creek. Francis told them he had been walking with his brother along Idaho-Maryland Road when his brother fell into the creek, washed into the culvert under the road, where he became lodged. He said he had been talking to his brother through a crack in the culvert. Fire personnel searched the area but did not locate anyone and began to suspect that Francis was under the influence of a controlled substance. Grass Valley police officers were called out and interviewed Francis. His story did not make sense, Johnson said. He couldn't remember simple details. Officers did perform an extensive search of the area, again without locating anyone. After conducting a field test, it was determined that Francis was under the influence, and he reportedly admitted to having ingested methamphetamine. Francis was booked into the county jail Oh, there it is, Wayne's Brown. Hi, guys. On suspicion of being under the influence of a controlled substance and released on a $2,500 bail. Jacob Nelson Francis, 22, of Penn Valley, was later arrested nearby on an outstanding warrant. They are believed to be brothers. Out of Truckee, authorities arrested a suspect in a pair of murders in California and Florida after the traffic stop Saturday evening on Interstate 80 near Donner Lake. According to the Truckee Police Department, officers joined the California Highway Patrol in 10:30 p.m. stop of a vehicle driven by 33-year-old McKinley Calvin Williams. After the Truckee Police Department's canine alerted on the car, a search revealed a small amount of marijuana and more than 100 various credit cards in an unidentified female's name. Officers also found several prepaid gift cards, altered debit cards, prepaid cash cards, and numerous receipts of recent transactions for high-end apparel from different states across the country. William and his passenger, 23-year-old Carrion Janae Bickham of Kennesaw, Georgia, identified themselves as Florida residents. Both were arrested and booked into Truckee jail on suspicion of several fraud-related charges. During the bookings, officers confirmed Williams falsely identified himself. He had 2 outstanding warrants for murders in Fresno, California, and Florida. Fresno warrant alone carried a $1 million bail. According to media reports, Williams, listed as an Elk Grove, California resident, is suspected of shooting death of Johnny Massey, 28, of Fresno, April 20th, 2012. Officers located a second Florida driver's license with Bickham's picture and fictitious name that matched the name on the numerous credit cards found in the vehicle, according to the Truckee Police Department. Neither Williams nor Bickham had known ties to Truckee. Police believed they were traveling through to continue their fraudulent multi-state shopping spree, according to a statement. These types of arrests are excellent examples of how our officers use keen investigative abilities and take the initiative to look beyond just what is in front of them while on the side of the road during a traffic stop, Truckee Police Department Sergeant Danny Renfro said in a statement. At this point, it's unclear how many fraud victims are associated with this case. We will be continuing the investigation. A man was flown to Roseville Hospital Monday morning after crashing his car on Idaho-Maryland Road. A caller reported at about 8:30 a.m. that a vehicle was off the road near Brunswick Road and the airbags were deployed, said Grass Valley Police Sergeant Clint Bates. An officer located the vehicle, found the driver was unconscious but responsive, and forced entry into the car. Firefighters from Grass Valley, Nevada City, and Nevada County Consolidated responded along with Sierra Nevada medics. Fire crews assisted the medics with care to the injured driver, 58-year-old man who was flown to Sutter Roseville Medical Center. The accident remains under investigation but might have been caused by medical issues. Firefighters were able to quickly contain a mobile home fire Friday night in Grass Valley. The fire in 10,000 block of Walker Drive was reported a little after 7:30 p.m. According to dispatch reports, the firefighters from Grass Valley, Nevada County Consolidated, Nevada City, and CAL FIRE responded to the residential structure fire and found smoke and fires showing from the residence. The first arriving engine crew were able to contain the fire upon arrival. The tenants were sheltered by the Red Cross and no injuries were reported. The cause remains under investigation. The California Highway Patrol is reporting that a major collision on Highway 20 near Pleasant Valley Road has the roadway partially blocked. Victims were trapped and needed to be extricated, and people were expected to have delays. The crash was initially reported at 5:48 p.m. involving 2 vehicles versus a deer, according to CHP website. Truck heading eastbound reportedly hit a deer, then crashed head-on into the car. That car spun out of control, hitting another car. Just before 6 p.m., it was reported that victims needed to be extricated and the roadway would be blocked for quite some time. The helicopter was dispatched and landed in Western Gateway Park for 1 victim with major injuries. 2 other victims were reported with minor injuries. At 6:35 p.m., CHP was requested by Caltrans because his driver was threatened and the worker over the road closures. The road was expected to be open at 7:45 p.m. No further information is available on the status of the victims at the point of this story. That's it today.
sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon, I could go to space. With the air like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm clap along if you feel like home with you.